Welcome. Thank you for choosing to settle in and share this quiet interlude. I invite you to find a comfortable space, perhaps let your eyes gently close and allow the sounds around you to soften into the background. My name is Silas, and this is how I travel aboard the Wanderer, my personal train, moving at a pace that allows the world to unfold rather than rush by. It's a journey of quiet observation, seeking out the subtle beauty and peaceful moments that often hide in plain sight. The gentle rhythm of the wheels has carried me through such diverse atmospheres, from the ancient sun-drenched stones of Florence to the vibrant artistic laneways of Melbourne, and the crisp, serene air surrounding the fjords of Bergen. Each destination leaves its unique imprint, a quiet resonance that I carry with me. Now, that familiar, comforting sway guides me towards Denmark, towards a city I've heard whispers of, a place renowned for its gentle spirit and warm glow. Copenhagen. I can almost sense the cool, clean air, feel the promise of understated charm. In the chapters ahead, we will explore Copenhagen together. We will meander along its tranquil canals, watching the light dance on the water and the colorful gabled houses reflect their stories. We will find moments of stillness in its green havens, like the King's Garden, listening to the rustle of leaves and the distant hum of city life. Perhaps we'll discover a cozy nook in a small cafe, embracing the Danish art of Hygge, feeling the warmth from a simple candle and the scent of something sweet in the air. It's these soft lights, these quiet encounters, that I wish to share with you. This is an invitation to slow your own pace, to breathe deeply, and to find a moment of calm in the present, just as I do on my travels. Let the gentle descriptions and the imagined sounds of Copenhagen bring a sense of peace to your day. If you find solace and enjoyment in this journey we're about to embark upon, I would be truly grateful if you considered liking this recording, or perhaps subscribing to the channel to join me for future travels. For now, let us allow the soft lights of Copenhagen to welcome us in. Chapter 1. Zealand's Gentle Approach. The steady, familiar hum of the Wanderer beneath me is a gentle reassurance, a constant in a life devoted to the quiet exploration of new horizons. Through the expansive window of my carriage, the landscape of Denmark begins to unfurl, not with grand, sweeping gestures, but with a soft, understated grace that speaks to the soul. The world outside shifts from the more defined topographies I've recently passed through into something flatter, yet imbued with a serene, cultivated beauty. It's a transition I feel as much as see, a subtle softening of edges, a quiet invitation to slow down and observe. The light, too, seems different here, possessing a delicate, almost ethereal quality, even on what appears to be an ordinary day. Patches of vibrant green farmland, meticulously tended, stretch toward the horizon, interspersed with neat storybook farmhouses, their red-tiled or thatched roofs, a warm contrast to the verdant fields. Occasionally, the sleek white arms of wind turbines turn with a slow, hypnotic rhythm, modern sentinels in this ancient land harvesting the unseen breezes. The sky above is a vast canvas, sometimes a pale milky blue, sometimes brushed with soft gray clouds that diffuse the sunlight into an even gentler glow. There are few dramatic hills or imposing mountains. Instead, the beauty lies in the gentle rolls of the earth, the peaceful symmetry of the cultivated spaces, and the immense open sky that seems to embrace it all. I take a slow sip of the warm tea I prepared earlier, its familiar herbal scent mingling with the clean, wooden aroma of my carriage. My thoughts drift, as they often do on these journeys, to the nature of transitions, the subtle shifts in energy and atmosphere as one land gives way to another. Scandinavia has always held a certain mystique for me, a promise of thoughtful design, a deep respect for nature, and a quiet, introspective way of life. This gentle approach through Zealand feels like a fitting overture. A quiet melody played before the full composition of Copenhagen reveals itself. There's no rush, no urgency, just the steady progress of the train and the unfolding landscape. The interior of the Wanderer itself offers its own quiet comforts, a haven of familiar textures and scents. The worn leather of my armchair, the smooth, polished wood of the small table beside me, the soft weave of the rug underfoot, these are the anchors in my moving world. The rhythmic clickety-clack of the wheels on the rails is a sound I've come to associate with peace, a meditative beat that allows my mind to wander freely yet remain grounded in the present moment. It is in these spaces, between destinations, that much of the true journey occurs, in the quiet contemplation and the gentle processing of experiences past and anticipated. My gaze returns to the window, and I find myself wondering about Copenhagen, about the Hygge I've read, about that untranslatable concept of coziness, contentment, and well-being. I picture soft lighting, warm blankets, the murmur of quiet conversation, and the simple joy of shared moments. It's an idea that resonates deeply with my own approach to life and travel, this seeking of warmth and genuine connection, not just with places, but with the feeling they evoke. The landscape outside, with its unpretentious charm and peaceful demeanor, already seems to embody a precursor to this feeling. As the wanderer continues its smooth passage, I notice a subtle change in the air, even through the sealed windows. It's an almost imperceptible shift, perhaps a hint of saltiness, a crispness that speaks of proximity to the sea. The light, too, seems to brighten slightly, reflecting off unseen water. These are the small cues, the whispers of the approaching city that I've learned to attune myself to. They build a quiet anticipation, not of excitement in the conventional sense, but of gentle discovery, of stepping into a new chapter of observation and experience. The journey itself is a meditation. Each passing field, each small copse of trees, each distant church spire becomes a point of focus. A fleeting moment of beauty appreciated for what it is. There is no need to catalog or compare, only to observe and absorb. This slow, deliberate movement allows for a deeper connection with the land, a sense of its character revealing itself gradually, like a shy friend opening up over time. It's a stark contrast to the hurried pace of much of modern travel, and a practice I cherish. Now, the farmhouses are becoming a little more frequent, the signs of habitation more pronounced. The gentle roll of the land continues, but there's a subtle sense of drawing inwards, a gathering of energy as we approach the capital. I close my eyes for a moment, taking a deep breath, feeling the gentle sway of the train, a final moment of quiet repose before the sounds and sights of arrival begin. Zealand has offered a peaceful welcome, a soft prelude, and I feel ready, in my own quiet way, for Copenhagen. Chapter 2, Under the Station's Arch. The consistent rhythmic hum of the Wanderer gradually deepens, the pace of its wheels slowing, signaling our approach to the heart of Copenhagen, The sounds from outside begin to filter in more distinctly now, a distant siren, the faint rumble of urban life, the subtle clatter as we cross over complex sets of points. I gather my small satchel, which holds my notebook and camera, feeling that familiar blend of calm readiness and quiet curiosity that always precedes stepping into a new city. The anticipation is not for bustling crowds or grand sights, but for the subtle unveiling of a new atmosphere, a new palette of sensory details. As the train glides to a gentle halt within Copenhagen Central Station, Copenhagen's hovedbanegård, I allow myself a moment before rising. Then, stepping onto the platform, my feet meet the solid ground, and I take my first conscious breath of city air. The station itself is a grand affair, yet it doesn't overwhelm. High, arched ceilings of dark ironwork stretch above, testament to an earlier era of travel, while the warm tones of aged brickwork on the walls lend a sense of history and solidity. Light filters down from large windows, illuminating the vast space, but it feels softer here, less harsh than in many grand terminals. The atmosphere within the station is surprisingly calm. There's a steady flow of people, purposeful yet unhurried, their voices a gentle murmur rather than a clamor. Suitcase wheels click softly on the polished floors, and the melodic cadence of Danish announcements, unintelligible to me yet pleasant to the ear, drifts through the air. I observe the faces of those around me, a sense of Nordic composure, an understated elegance in their dress and demeanor. It's a place of transition, clearly, but one that seems to operate with a quiet efficiency and a lack of overt stress. I begin to walk, not towards the main throngs, but along a less crowded path, allowing my senses to acclimate. I notice the clean lines of the signage, the subtle integration of modern design elements within the historic structure. There's an inherent orderliness, a thoughtfulness in the layout that speaks of a culture that values both form and function. Small details catch my eye, the polished wood of a bench, the gleam of a brass handrail, the way light catches the intricate patterns in the iron supports overhead. These are the first small whispers of Danish design I'm encountering. Exiting the station onto the bustling plaza, the city reveals itself more fully. The air is crisp and cool, carrying a faint, almost imperceptible scent of the nearby sea. The first, most striking observation, however, is the sheer number of bicycles. They're everywhere, neatly parked in long rows, gliding silently past, their riders moving with an easy, practiced grace. It's a silent ballet of urban mobility, a testament to a different way of navigating a city, and it immediately lends a unique rhythm to the streetscape. The sounds here are a blend of gentle traffic, the whir of bicycle tires, and the distant chime of a clock tower. I locate a taxi with ease, the driver offering a polite, reserved greeting. The ride to my pre-arranged apartment is a quiet one, allowing me to observe my first proper glimpses of Copenhagen streets. The architecture is a harmonious blend of old and new grand historic buildings with ornate facades stand comfortably alongside more contemporary structures. Yet there's a consistent aesthetic, a respect for scale and material. Tree-lined avenues, wide sidewalks, and the ever-present bike lanes create a sense of space and openness even in the urban environment. Soon we turn into the quieter residential streets of what I believe is Osterbro, my chosen neighborhood. Here the buildings are predominantly elegant apartment blocks, perhaps 4 or 5 stories high, with large windows and charming details like small balconies or decorative brickwork. The pace is slower, the sounds more muted. Children on scooters glide past, their laughter echoing softly, and individuals stroll along, seemingly unhurried. There's a palpable sense of community, of lives being lived at a gentle human scale. It feels welcoming, a place where one could easily settle and breathe. The taxi pulls up before a handsome, cream-colored building, its entrance framed by a simple, well-maintained doorway. This is it, my temporary home in Copenhagen. I thank the driver, retrieve my small bag, and stand for a moment on the pavement, taking in the facade of the building, the quiet street, the soft afternoon light filtering through the leaves of a nearby tree. There's a feeling of having arrived not just at a physical location, but at a state of mind, a peaceful anticipation of the quiet discoveries that await within this new city. Chapter 3. A Hygge haven found. The key turns smoothly in the lock, and the door to my temporary Copenhagen apartment swings inward, revealing a space that immediately breathes a quiet welcome. My first impression is one of light, soft, diffused daylight floods in through large, uncurtained windows, illuminating pale wooden floors that gleam gently underfoot. There's an airiness to the main room, a sense of uncluttered simplicity that feels instantly calming. The walls are painted in a subtle, creamy white, enhancing the brightness and creating a backdrop of serene neutrality. It feels less like a rental and more like a carefully considered home. I step further inside, my footsteps making a soft sound on the wood. The main living area is furnished with a comfortable-looking sofa in a muted gray fabric, a simple wooden coffee table, and a single elegant armchair. A few carefully chosen cushions add a touch of texture and subtle color. To one side, a small dining table with 2 chairs sits near a window, promising pleasant sunlit breakfast. There are no unnecessary adornments, no clutter to distract the eye. Every piece seems to serve a purpose while contributing to an overall aesthetic of understated comfort. It is, in essence, a physical manifestation of thoughtful Scandinavian design. Slowly, I begin the familiar ritual of unpacking, placing my worn leather satchel on the sofa. My notebook and pen find their place on a small, antique-looking writing desk tucked into a quiet corner, its surface smooth and inviting. My camera is set gently beside it. I hang my light jacket in the small hallway closet and arrange the few books I brought with me on a simple shelf. These small acts of settling in, of personalizing a temporary space, always help to ground me, creating a sense of continuity and familiarity no matter where in the world I find myself. With my few belongings stowed, I notice a small, unassuming candle on the windowsill, placed beside a simple ceramic pot holding a single thriving green plant. I find a box of matches in a nearby drawer and with a soft strike, bring a tiny flame to life. The wick catches, and a warm, gentle glow begins to emanate, the flame dancing quietly. It's a small gesture, perhaps, but one that feels significant here, a conscious embrace of Hygge, that Danish art of creating coziness and contentment. The subtle flickering light immediately softens the room further, adding a layer of warmth and intimacy. Drawn to the window, I look out onto the quiet residential street below. It's late afternoon now, and the light has taken on a golden hue. Other windows across the way offer glimpses of similar scenes. A reading lamp cast in a warm circle of light. The silhouette of someone moving calmly within their home. a collection of plants on a sill. There's a sense of shared tranquility, an unspoken agreement to cultivate peace within these urban dwellings. The sounds are muted, the distant whir of a bicycle, the soft laughter of children playing further down the street, the rustle of leaves in the gentle breeze. I stand there for a long while, simply observing, listening. The apartment itself is quiet, save for the almost imperceptible hum of the city outside and the occasional creak of the old building settling. There's a distinct lack of jarring noises, a peacefulness that seeps into my bones. This isn't just a place to sleep. It feels like a sanctuary, a space designed to nurture quiet contemplation and restful solitude. The air itself feels clean and still, holding the faint, pleasant scent of polished wood and old books, perhaps from the building's many years. A feeling of deep contentment washes over me. It's the simple comfort of finding a welcoming space after a journey, the quiet satisfaction of knowing I have a peaceful base from which to explore. This apartment, with its clean lines, its gentle light, and its inherent sense of calm, feels like an extension of the Danish spirit I've already begun to perceive. It encourages a slowing down, an appreciation for the unembellished, the authentic. It is a haven, perfectly suited for my introspective way of being. As dusk begins to softly settle outside, the little candle flame seems to glow even brighter, a tiny beacon of warmth in the fading light. I make a mental note to find a local bakery in the morning, to perhaps enjoy a simple pastry and a cup of tea at the sunlit table by the window. For now, though, I am content to simply be, to let the peace of this Hygge haven envelop me, feeling a quiet curiosity about the days ahead and the gentle discoveries that Copenhagen holds in store. Chapter 4. Reflections on Waterways. The morning light in Copenhagen is soft and clear, filtering gently through the large windows of my apartment as I prepare for a day of quiet exploration. My plan is simple: to walk, to observe, and to allow the city to reveal itself at its own pace. I feel drawn toward the water, a feature so integral to Copenhagen's character, and so I set out towards the canals, particularly the area around Christianshavn, which I've heard possesses a unique village-like charm despite its central location. The air outside is cool and crisp, carrying a faint, clean scent that hints at the nearby sea. The walk itself is a pleasure. The streets are relatively quiet, especially for a city, with the gentle whir of bicycles often being the most prominent sound. I pass handsome apartment buildings, their facades painted in a pleasing palette of muted colors, ochres, soft grays, and warm terracottas. Small flower boxes adorn many windowsills, adding touches of vibrant life. There's an inherent orderliness, a sense of civic pride evident in the clean pavements and well-maintained public spaces, yet it doesn't feel sterile. Rather, it feels cared for, loved. As I approach Christianshavn, the presence of water becomes more pronounced. The streets begin to run alongside picturesque canals, their surfaces reflecting the blue sky and the colorful buildings that line their banks. These aren't grand, imposing waterways, but rather intimate channels, crossed by low, elegant bridges. Houseboats, some rustic and characterful, others more modern and sleek, are moored along the edges, their occupants occasionally visible, tending to plants or sipping coffee on their small decks. It feels like a distinct little world within the city. I find a weathered wooden bench overlooking a particularly tranquil stretch of canal, the water still and dark, mirroring the scene above with a remarkable clarity. The gabled townhouses across the way, painted in shades of deep red, sunny yellow, and muted blue, create a charming, almost storybook vista. Their windows, like so many eyes, look out onto the water, and I imagine the lives lived within, the quiet mornings and peaceful evenings spent with such a view. A few ducks glide serenely past, their paddling feet creating tiny, spreading ripples that momentarily disturb the perfect reflections. The play of light on the water is endlessly fascinating. As the sun shifts or a cloud passes overhead, the colors deepen or soften, the reflections sharpen or blur. The gentle lapping of water against the stone embankments is a soothing, constant sound, a liquid whisper that seems to absorb the harsher noises of the city. I watch as a small wooden boat, perhaps a local's runabout, putters slowly by, its occupant offering a quiet nod as they pass. There's a slowness here, a rhythm dictated by the water rather than the clock. Sitting here, I reflect on the profound connection cities like Copenhagen have with their waterways. They are not just geographical features, but lifelines, sources of commerce and transport centuries past, and now sources of beauty, recreation, and tranquility. The canals carve paths of peace through the urban fabric, offering spaces for quiet contemplation and a different perspective on the city's architecture and daily life. They invite a slower pace, a moment to pause and simply watch the world drift by. I notice the small details, the texture of the old stone beneath my bench, worn smooth by time and weather, the intricate ironwork of a nearby bridge, the way ivy creeps up the side of one of the old houses, its green leaves a soft contrast to the colorful facade. A gentle breeze rustles the leaves of the trees lining the canal, their dappled shadows dancing on the pavement. It is these subtle, often overlooked elements that, woven together, create the unique tapestry of a place. As I eventually rise to continue my walk, I feel a sense of calm pervading my thoughts. The canals of Christianshavn have offered a gentle immersion into one of Copenhagen's most defining characteristics. There was no grand event, no bustling attraction, just the quiet beauty of water, light, and architecture in harmonious accord. It's a reminder that often the most profound experiences are found not in the spectacular, but in the simple, serene moments of observation and connection with one's surroundings. Chapter 5. Emerald, Calm in the King's Garden. Today my steps lead me towards Kongens Hav, the King's Garden, a well-loved green oasis in the heart of Copenhagen. I'm drawn to the promise of trees, open lawns, and the historic presence of Rosenborg Castle, which stands sentinel within its grounds. The idea of finding a pocket of natural tranquility amidst the urban landscape is always appealing, a chance to observe a different facet of city life and to simply breathe in the scent of earth and foliage. The air is mild, with a soft breeze that carries the distant, muted sounds of the city. Entering the gardens is like stepping into a carefully composed painting. Long, straight avenues, shaded by rows of mature lime trees, draw the eye inwards, their leaves forming a rustling canopy overhead. The layout is formal, with neatly manicured lawns, precisely clipped hedges, and beds of seasonal flowers adding splashes of color. Yet, despite this order, there's a feeling of relaxed accessibility, a sense that this is a space for everyone to enjoy. People stroll at a leisurely pace, some walking dogs, others pushing prams, their quiet conversations a gentle hum in the air. I wander off the main thoroughfares, seeking out a quieter corner. I find a secluded wooden bench beneath a sprawling ancient tree, its branches offering a dappled shade. From here, I can observe the gentle rhythm of the park. A young couple shares a quiet laugh on a nearby patch of grass. A student sits engrossed in a book, and an elderly gentleman simply gazes thoughtfully into the distance. There's a shared sense of peaceful coexistence and unspoken respect for the tranquility of the space. The King's Garden feels less like a manicured showpiece and more like a communal backyard. The presence of Rosenborg Castle, visible through the trees, adds a layer of historic gravitas to the scene. Its turrets and copper-green spires rise elegantly against the sky, a reminder of Denmark's royal past. Yet, the castle doesn't dominate. It integrates, becoming part of the garden's serene tapestry. I imagine generations of Copenhageners seeking solace and pleasure within these same grounds, the trees silent witnesses to centuries of quiet moments and changing seasons. There's a timeless quality to the atmosphere here. The sensory details are subtle yet enriching. The scent of damp earth mingles with the faint perfume of roses from a distant flower bed. The rustling of leaves in the breeze is a constant soothing whisper, punctuated by the occasional chirping of birds hidden in the branches above. Sunlight filters through the canopy, creating shifting patterns of light and shadow on the path and the grass. I run my hand over the slightly rough texture of the wooden bench, feeling its solidity, its connection to the natural materials of the park. I spend a good while just sitting, observing, letting my thoughts drift. There's a profound sense of calm to be found in such green spaces within a city. They are lungs, breathing life and peace into the urban environment. They offer a necessary counterpoint to the concrete and the bustle, a place to reconnect with the natural world, however cultivated it may be. The King's Garden, with its blend of formal design and relaxed atmosphere, seems to perfectly encapsulate this balance. Later, I stroll along some of the smaller winding paths, discovering hidden statues and charming little alcoves. I pass a serene rose garden, its blooms in various shades, their delicate fragrance perfuming the air. Even the sounds of the city beyond the garden walls seem muted here, softened by the layers of trees and open space. It's a testament to the power of thoughtful urban planning, the recognition of the human need for beauty and tranquility. As I eventually make my way towards one of the exits, I feel refreshed and centered. The King's Garden has offered more than just a pleasant walk. It has provided a space for quiet contemplation, a gentle immersion in nature's calming embrace. It's another example of Copenhagen's ability to weave peace into its very fabric, offering its inhabitants and visitors these pockets of emerald calm where the soul can rest and recharge. Chapter 6. Whispers of Pastry and Print. A gentle rain has begun to fall this afternoon, a soft, persistent drizzle that mutes the city sounds and washes the streets in a clean, reflective sheen. It's the kind of weather that invites one indoors to seek warmth and comfort. My inclination leads me in search of two of life's simple pleasures, a good book and a freshly baked pastry. I've noticed several charming independent bookstores dotted around the city, often with small cafes tucked inside or nearby, and today feels like the perfect occasion to explore one. I find myself drawn to a smaller establishment on a quiet side street, its window display showcasing a thoughtful selection of titles rather than just bestsellers. A discreet sign indicates that coffee and cakes are served within. Stepping inside, I'm enveloped by a warm, inviting atmosphere. The air is rich with a comforting aroma of brewing coffee, the sweet scent of baked goods, and that unique, slightly dusty, papery smell that all good bookstores possess. Soft lighting emanates from a few strategically placed lamps, casting a cozy glow over the wooden shelves laden with books. The bookstore section is a haven of quiet discovery. Shelves reach towards the ceiling, filled with volumes of all shapes and sizes, Danish literature, translations of international authors, art books, poetry, and well-loved classics. I run my fingers lightly over the spines, enjoying the tactile sensation, the promise of stories and knowledge held within each cover. The only sounds are the soft rustle of pages as a few other patrons browse, and the gentle hum of quiet conversation from the small cafe area at the back. Having selected a slim volume of Danish poetry and translation, I make my way to the cafe counter. The display of pastries is modest but enticing. Flaky wienerbrot glistening with glaze, rich chocolate cakes, and delicate tarts. I choose a classic Danish snail pastry, its cinnamon sugar swirls promising a delightful treat, and order a simple black coffee. The barista, a young woman with a friendly, calm demeanor, prepares my order with unhurried care. It's these small interactions, the gentle pace, that contribute so much to the Hygge atmosphere. I find a small round table in a quiet corner, nestled between a bookshelf and a window looking out onto the rain-streaked street. The cafe area is intimate, with only a few tables fostering a sense of shared, quiet enjoyment. My coffee arrives, steaming and fragrant, followed by the pastry on a simple white plate. For a few moments, I just sit, absorbing the ambience, the soft clinking of cups, the murmur of hushed voices, the sight of the rain outside creating a soothing, percussive rhythm on the window pane. Yeah, the first bite of the pastry is a small revelation. The layers are crisp and buttery, the cinnamon filling warm and aromatic, not overly sweet but perfectly balanced. It's a simple pleasure, yet deeply satisfying, especially paired with the robust dark coffee. I open my book, the poems offering glimpses into the Danish soul, their words often reflecting a love for nature, a contemplative spirit, and an appreciation for the subtle nuances of life. It feels fitting to be reading them here in this cozy sanctuary surrounded by the gentle comforts of a rainy Copenhagen afternoon. Time seems to slow down. There's no need to rush, no pressure to move on. The bookstore cafe feels like a refuge from the world outside, a place where one can simply be present, lost in thought, or immersed in the pages of a book. I observe the other patrons, a student diligently working on a laptop, an older couple sharing a newspaper, a solitary reader, much like myself. There's a sense of quiet community, of individuals pursuing their own peaceful activities in a shared, comforting space. Eventually, the rain begins to subside, the gray light outside brightening slightly. I finish my coffee and the last crumbs of my pastry, feeling a sense of warmth and contentment. This interlude of pastry and print has been a perfect embodiment of Hygge, simple, unpretentious, and deeply comforting. It's a reminder that joy can often be found in the smallest of rituals, in the quiet moments we carve out for ourselves, especially when shared with the timeless companionship of books and the gentle pleasure of a well-made. Chapter 7. Torvehallерne's quiet hum. The sky this morning is a bright, washed blue after yesterday's rain, and I feel an inclination towards something a little more vibrant, yet still within Copenhagen's realm of understated charm. My destination is Torvehallerne Market, a renowned covered food market I've heard is a feast for the senses. I decide to go relatively early, hoping to experience it before any potential midday crowds, to absorb its atmosphere when the day is still fresh and the vendors are setting out their wares. Approaching the market, which consists of 2 large modern glass and steel halls, I'm struck by its clean lines and airy design. It doesn't feel like a dark, bustling old-world market, but rather a bright, contemporary space dedicated to the celebration of food. Even from the outside, through the clear glass walls, I can see colorful displays and the movement of people within. The air already carries a faint, enticing medley of aromas: fresh bread, herbs, and something sweet. Stepping inside the first hall, I'm greeted by a gentle, purposeful hum. It's not overly noisy, but alive with the sounds of quiet commerce, the low murmur of conversations between vendors and early shoppers, the soft thud of produce being arranged, the clinking of glasses from a small coffee bar. The light streams in through the glass roof and walls, illuminating the stall beautifully. Each one is an artful display of quality ingredients, pyramids of gleaming fruits and vegetables, artisanal cheeses in various shapes and hues, charcuterie, freshly baked breads and pastries, and vibrant bouquets of flowers. I walk slowly, allowing my eyes to take in the details. The vendors, many of whom seem to be passionate artisans, arrange their products with evident care and pride. There's a strong emphasis on local and seasonal produce, on organic and high-quality goods. I pause at a stall piled high with Danish berries, strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, their colors so intense they almost glow. Another stall offers an incredible array of freshly caught fish and seafood glistening on beds of ice, their salty scent a reminder of Copenhagen's maritime heritage. The focus here is clearly on quality over sheer quantity. It's not an overwhelming sprawl, but a curated collection of the best. I observe the interactions. A customer asking thoughtful questions about the origin of a cheese. A baker explaining the sourdough starter for his bread. There's a sense of connection, of people who genuinely care about the food they produce and sell, and customers who appreciate that dedication. It's a far cry from the impersonal experience of a large supermarket. In the second hall, the atmosphere is similar, perhaps with a greater emphasis on prepared foods, small eateries, and specialty items. There are stalls selling freshly squeezed juices, gourmet chocolates, spices from around the world, and delicate smørrebrød, the famous Danish open-faced sandwiches displayed like miniature works of art. I find a small stand selling local honey and purchase a small jar, its deep amber color promising rich floral flavor. The vendor, an elderly man with kind eyes, tells me it comes from bees that forage in the city's own parks and gardens. I resist the urge to sample everything, instead focusing on absorbing the atmosphere, the colors, the scents, and the quiet energy of the place. It's a market that invites mindful browsing rather than hurried shopping. The overall impression is one of freshness, quality, and a deep respect for food. Even the design of the market itself, with its ample light and clean spaces, contributes to this feeling. It's a modern interpretation of a traditional market, perfectly suited to Copenhagen's aesthetic. As I leave Torvehallerne, the small jar of honey carefully tucked into my satchel, I feel a quiet sense of satisfaction. It wasn't a grand adventure, but a gentle immersion in the city's culinary heart. The market, with its vibrant yet calm atmosphere, its focus on quality and craftsmanship, and the subtle pride of its vendors, feels like another authentic expression of the Danish spirit. It's a place that nourishes not just the body, but also the appreciation for simple, well-made things. Chapter 8, The Two-Wheeled Waltz. One cannot be in Copenhagen for more than a few hours without becoming acutely aware of its most defining mode of transport, the bicycle. It's more than just a way to get around. It's an integral part of the city's identity, a silent, graceful ballet performed daily on its streets and dedicated bike paths. Today, I've chosen a simple activity: to find a comfortable bench in a less hectic area and simply observe this fascinating two-wheeled waltz, to try and understand its rhythm and the culture it fosters. I find a spot near a wide, well-maintained cycle track that runs alongside a canal, a little removed from the main tourist thoroughfares. It's a sunny late morning, and the flow of cyclists is steady but not overwhelming. From my vantage point, I can see them approaching from a distance, gliding along with an ease that speaks of lifelong practice. There are people of all ages, from young children confidently pedaling small bikes, sometimes with parents close by, to elderly individuals moving at a more sedate but equally assured pace. What strikes me most is the sheer variety of cyclists and their purposes. Businessmen in suits, their briefcases often in baskets, pedal alongside students with backpack. Mothers and fathers navigate sturdy cargo bikes, their front sections carrying children, groceries, or even the family dog, all seemingly secure and content. There are sleek racing bikes for the more athletic and comfortable upright city bikes for leisurely cruising. It's a remarkably democratic form of transport, accessible and utilized by nearly everyone. There's an unwritten etiquette to it all, a seamless coordination that allows for such a high volume of cycle traffic to move harmoniously. Riders signal their intentions with subtle hand gestures, maintain a courteous distance, and generally exhibit a remarkable awareness of those around them. The dedicated bike lanes, often as wide as car lanes in other cities, are clearly respected. There's very little aggressive riding. Instead, the prevailing mood is one of calm efficiency and mutual respect. The most common sound is the gentle whir of tires on asphalt, occasionally punctuated by the polite ding of a bell. I watch a young woman, her hair flowing behind her, pedal past with a basket full of fresh flowers, a serene smile on her face. An older gentleman, dressed impeccably, glides by with a newspaper tucked under his arm. A group of friends chat and laugh as they ride side by side where the path allows. It's not just about commuting. It's about enjoying the journey, feeling the air, and being connected to the city in a very direct and physical way. There's a sense of freedom and simple joy in their movements. This widespread embrace of cycling clearly shapes the city's atmosphere. It reduces noise pollution, lessens traffic congestion, and contributes to a generally healthier and more relaxed urban environment. It also means that the city is designed with human scale in mind, distances feel manageable, and the infrastructure actively supports this eco-friendly mode of transport. It makes me reflect on how different the feeling of a city can be when it prioritizes people and sustainable movement over cars. Silas considers the broader implications. This isn't just about convenience, it's a lifestyle choice that reflects core Danish values of practicality and egalitarianism and a respect for the environment. The bicycle here is not a mere recreational tool, but a fundamental part of daily life, seamlessly integrated into the urban fabric. It fosters a sense of community and shared space, a stark contrast to the often isolating experience of car-centric cities I have visited in other parts of the world. As the sun climbs higher, I continue to observe, fascinated by this quiet, constant flow. The cyclists of Copenhagen are not performing for an audience. They are simply living their lives, moving through their city in a way that feels natural, efficient, and inherently peaceful. This two-wheeled waltz is a beautiful, understated expression of Copenhagen's character, a testament to its thoughtful design and the gentle, sustainable rhythm of its daily life. It's a dance I could watch for hours, finding a quiet satisfaction in its simple, harmonious. Chapter 9. Fading glow, lingering peace. The late afternoon sun casts long, soft shadows across the cobbled streets of my temporary neighborhood as I begin a final contemplative walk. My time in Copenhagen is drawing to a gentle close, and these last hours feel precious, a time for quiet reflection and for absorbing the lingering essence of the city. The air is still and cool, carrying the scent of damp earth from a small park nearby and the distant, comforting aroma of someone's evening meal being prepared. The city seems to be breathing deeply, settling into the evening. I wander without a specific destination, allowing my feet to lead me along familiar paths and down quiet side streets I haven't yet explored. The soft lights of Copenhagen are beginning to emerge, the warm glow from within apartment windows, where families and individuals are winding down their day. Lamps cast inviting pools of light onto tables and armchairs, creating small Hygge scenes. There's an intimacy to these glimpses, a sense of shared humanity in these simple rituals of home and comfort. My thoughts drift back over the past few days, replaying the small moments that have defined my experience here. The quiet stillness of the canals reflecting the colorful houses, the emerald calm of the king's garden, the comforting aroma of pastry and print in the cozy bookstore. I recall the vibrant yet orderly hum of Torvehallerne market and the graceful, silent waltz of bicycles on the city's dedicated paths. These weren't grand spectacles, but subtle encounters, threads of peace woven into the fabric of daily life. Back in my apartment, the haven that has sheltered me, I begin the slow, meditative process of packing my worn leather satchel. Each item my notebook filled with observations, my camera holding images of light and shadow. The small jar of city honey is a tangible reminder of my time here. The apartment itself feels imbued with a quiet energy, the soft light from the window now a deeper gold as sunset approaches. The single candle I lit upon arrival, now much shorter, still flickers gently on the sill, a tiny beacon of the warmth I've found. I pause in my packing and step over to the window one last time, looking out onto the street below. A cyclist glides silently past, their silhouette framed against the fading light. The windows across the way glow with an inviting warmth. There's a profound sense of peace in this moment, a feeling of quiet gratitude for the gentle embrace Copenhagen has offered. It's a city that doesn't shout for attention, but rather whispers its charms, inviting you to slow down, to observe, and to appreciate the beauty in simplicity. The essence of Hygge, I realize, is not just about cozy blankets and candlelight, though those are part of it. It's a deeper philosophy, an approach to life that values connection, contentment, and well-being found in the everyday. It's in the thoughtful design that makes life easier and more pleasant, in the respect for public spaces, in the appreciation for simple pleasures, and in the gentle demeanor of its people. It's a quiet confidence, an understated elegance that I've found deeply appealing. As I finish packing, the last light of day fades from the sky, replaced by the soft glow of streetlights and the myriad warm windows. The apartment is quiet, save for the almost inaudible hum of the city outside. I take a moment to simply stand in the center of the room, absorbing the stillness, committing the feeling of this peaceful space to memory. The lingering peace of Copenhagen is something I will carry with me, a gentle counterpoint to the more bustling energies of other places I have known. My satchel is ready by the door. My journey here is complete, but the impressions remain vivid and comforting. Copenhagen has revealed itself not through grand pronouncements, but through a series of soft, illuminating moments, each one a testament to its unique, tranquil spirit. It's a city that has nurtured my introspective nature, providing ample space for quiet observation and reflection. The fading glow of this day mirrors the gentle conclusion of my stay, leaving behind a sense of profound calm. Chapter 10. Northern Light Carried Within. The familiar low rumble of the wanderer begins its gentle vibration, a signal that my time in Copenhagen is truly at its end. From my seat, I look out the window as the train slowly pulls away from the well-lit platforms of Copenhagen's Hovedbanegård. The station's grand arches recede, and the city lights begin to slide past, a soft blur of warmth against the deepening twilight. There's a quiet melancholy that always accompanies departures, but it's tempered with a sense of gratitude for the experiences gathered, the peace found. The train picks up a little speed, and the distinct sounds of the city, the traffic, the distant sirens, the general urban hum begin to fade, replaced by the steady rhythmic clickety-clack of wheels on the tracks. This sound, so intrinsically linked to my travels, feels like a comforting embrace, a return to the familiar sanctuary of my moving home. The lights of Copenhagen's outer suburbs become more sporadic, interspersed with darkening patches of land, until finally we are moving through the Danish countryside once more, under a sky now dusted with early stars. I open my notebook, its pages filled with the scribbled impressions and observations from the past few days. I run my fingers over the words, reliving certain moments. The taste of the Danish pastry, the feel of the cool breeze by the canals, the sight of Rosenborg Castle through the trees in the King's Garden. These are not just memories, but small pieces of Copenhagen that have become part of my own inner landscape. I might jot down a few final thoughts, a particular feeling I want to capture before it fades with distance. The journey ahead is, as always, an unknown. The wanderer will carry me towards new horizons, new cultures, new moments of quiet discovery. But for now, the essence of Copenhagen remains strong. I think of its understated elegance, the effortless way it blends history with modernity, and the pervasive sense of calm that seems to permeate its streets and its people. It's a city that seems to understand the value of slowing down, of appreciating the simple, well-crafted things in life. The soft lights I sought were not just the literal glow from windows and street lamps, but also the metaphorical light of human kindness, thoughtful design, and the gentle spirit of Hygge. It's a light that illuminates from within, fostering a sense of contentment and well-being. I feel I've glimpsed it, experienced it, and in some small way, absorbed a little of its warmth. This northern light, both seen and felt, is something I will carry with me on my onward journey. Inside my carriage, the familiar comforts surround me. The soft lamp by my chair casts a warm glow on the polished wood. The scent of old books and leather is reassuring. I lean my head back against the worn upholstery, listening to the steady rhythm of the train, a sound that has become a meditative backdrop to my life. It's a rhythm that speaks of constant movement, yet also of profound stillness within that movement. It allows for reflection, for the gentle processing of all that has been seen and felt. The Danish landscape outside is now mostly a silhouette against the night sky, but I can still sense its peaceful, orderly presence. The quiet fields, the distant, sleeping farmhouses, they seem to wish me a silent farewell. There is no grand drama in this departure, just a gentle easing away, a respectful leave-taking. Copenhagen shared its quietude with me, and I leave with a sense of peaceful reciprocity. As the wanderer travels onward through the night, I feel a quiet sense of anticipation for what lies ahead, but also a deep appreciation for what has just passed. Each journey, each city, adds another layer to my understanding of the world and of myself. Copenhagen, with its soft lights and gentle rhythms, has offered a unique and precious gift, a reminder of the profound beauty and peace that can be found in the art of living simply and thoughtfully. This northern light, now held within, will continue to illuminate my path,